We wouldn't be doing what or have what we got if we hadn't worked together and worked as a family. Absolutely, you would not have. So it's a remarkable story now, and that's totally recycling, virtually selling more than we're having in. Well, I'm Roy Stuart, and known by everybody as Grandad. My dad started with one little lorry in 1946. My father was a wonderful stockman, but not really a businessman in that he doesn't want to grow. And so he went on with the one little old lorry until I left school, and I left school at 14. And then my brother Ross, we bought a second lorry when he was 17. The business then started to expand dramatically in the late 60s. It really changed completely. We started doing long distance livestock. And so I realized I wanted to buy some land near the new proposed junction, which wouldn't be there for 4 or 5 years, and buy some land close to that. And this was the first farmer that would sell to me. And I offered him 125,000 and for 2 houses and 90 acres, subject to me getting planning permission to move my lorries down, because that's all we did then. I'd loaded a lorry in the market, I was cow dung all over. And I went down to the bank, I didn't even have a piece of paper. And he said, what do you want to do? And I told him I wanted to buy this land. He said, why? I said, well, I'll turn it into a traded estate when the motorway comes through. And they lent us every penny. And that was really the start.
From our family journey with EMS started in 2008.
We had a tenant that got into trouble with the skips.
They got into trouble during the financial crisis, and we had envisioned we wanted to build a waste to energy plant on Hill Barton.
So we took on the business.
Decided to buy it and get into the skip game and give it a go.
And well, they are. Jack's grown into what it is now.
So when we first took on EMS, it was 12 members of staff, 4 HGV lorries. That has now developed into a purpose-built waste transfer station that we're standing in now, a Kivico picking line which can sort up to 500 tonnes of waste a day, to employing over 140 members of staff, running over 50 collection vehicles, operating from 5 different locations in the southwest. So the growth's been absolutely phenomenal. It's a complete family affair, so it's myself who deals with the day-to-day operations, my sister Lydia, who's been involved in the business since COVID, and my brother Tom is on the soils, stone and recycling part of the business. My father as well is also a director in the business, and my granddad still pops along, keeps telling us where we're going wrong, where we can improve, and keeping us on our toes. And then I've also got a cousin, Ryan, in our Volvo truck and bus side of the business. Harry, how do you find it working in a family business and working very closely with Grandad?
Yeah, that'd be the hardest part. Yeah. No, very good. Yeah. We left alone, make our own mistakes, I guess, and yeah, it's very good.
We all get along extremely well as a family, I think. Just being on Hill Barton every day means you're seeing what's going on on the broader picture all the time, which has been great.
I'm extremely fortunate to work in our family business, not only because you are working with your family, but because I'm working in such a dynamic and growing business, which is a really exciting position to be in.
It makes me very, very proud of the family. Very, very proud of what they've all done. When I go on holiday, I can't wait to come back. I drive down the bottom and I just think, I don't know how you explain it, but more or less in tears.
The process of waste is really quite simple. So a call will be made into our office. You'll explain what sort of material you have to get rid of, and then we will then provide you with a list of options of the best ways and solutions to get rid of that.
We deliver them a skip. They fill it with their chosen waste.
We then receive a call from yourselves saying it's ready for collection.
One of our drivers will go and collect the skip.
So how long have you been working for EMS?
10 years. Yeah. 10 years. Started in the office. Since then I've been doing 6, 7 years driving for them. But I honestly love it and I wouldn't go anywhere else, to be fair. So basically I've got an 8-yard open skip loaded on the bed of the lorry, and we're heading into Sidmouth, and we'll be exchanging the 8-yard they've got on site there. Morning. Hello, you okay?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, good. So I'll put my high vis on and we'll go and have a little look. What you basically do is unhitch everything, unhitch all the chains, bring the arms down, put on the chains on the new one, bring it up and over, and then put the new one back in place. And we'll get it done.
skip's brought back to one of our waste transfer stations,
The waste will be weighed in.
tipped into the reception hall,
To be processed and disposed of, really, or recycled in what we can.
This is where we do all our first pre-sorting here. So we pick, as we walk round, we'll go in and have a look. But we've got a couple of material handlers here. Andy's just tipped the waste and they're just picking out the larger bits of plastic and metal. And as you can see, they're just feeding it here into our shredder.
It's then put through a pre-shredder, which sizes the waste to a -300 mil, which means it can go through the process of the line really simply and easily without any blockages.
So we're prepping the waste before it goes off our Kiva co-segregation line. We recently put in the shredder and it's completely transformed, increasing our throughput of the line, so then we have much less downtime, and so we can also process a lot more waste. In our material handler, he's just spreading the waste more across the floor so he can see visually what he can physically put out and then what he can put in the shredder as well. So that sort of material, unfortunately, we can't recycle that. So that gets put in here and that will get shredded and be sent for incineration. So materials like that we know just aren't worthwhile putting into the line because they can be incinerated straight away. They go in a little pile there.
We then use a range of equipment from blowers, optical sorters and manual pickers to separate the wood, metal, plastics, stone, soil from the residual fraction that's left at the end.
I think it's really more important that optical sorter, because the sort all piece of wood. One person sit here and check hammer, second person walking around and check all material. Then when will be something like wrong, he let me know on the radio. We don't have any blockage here. This is very important because I don't see that. We have to stop everything, sometimes go inside machine and fix that problem. Plus I check how loose that materials.
So the waste gets put through our line and then it separates into its different commodities. You've got your UPVC here and you've got metal here. Again, this is all being separated from the waste and the skips that tips over into our first shed here. That all gets recycled and reused further into different products.
The different materials then that are picked end up going to various locations on Hillbarton Business Park.
This is our residual waste, so unfortunately this is waste that can't be recycled. So the next best thing for that is to be shredded and then sent for incineration, and that's created into energy as well.
After it's gone through the recycling process, it's shredded, it comes to here, and then we use that waste as fuel to turn it into electricity and power.
And the great thing about that is that the electricity runs our operations here at EMS.
So Dad, could you please explain us the process, what's going on behind us and talk us through the plant?
So what we're doing here is taking Jack's residual waste, and once it hits here, as far as we're concerned, it becomes a fuel. This material we can see being fed behind us is what he's done after all this recycling and processing, and this is fed into the plant, and we basically create energy. And then from here, it climbs up this conveyor and feeds into the top of the furnace. Yeah, we're actually on the back side of the furnace here, but it's what's called a stepped grate furnace. And it starts up high and it tumbles it, and as it burns, the hot air is pulled through the furnace and into this cylinder behind me, which is the actual boiler. Unlike most plants, this actually uses an oil turbine, and instead of steam vapor, it uses oil vapor to drive the turbine. The hot air passes through the cylinders and heats the oil inside the pipes. That oil has a very high boiling point, and that then passes through a heat exchanger, which heats another oil with a low boiling point. This is where the two oils effectively come together. They never touch, but they go through a heat exchanger. The oil vapor goes over the top and then drives the turbine here beside me. Vaporized oil comes back into this big machine behind and condenses it again.
Yeah.
So it cools it and condenses it and sends it back round. So it's two continuous loops of oil. They're completely reused, completely contained, to get it back and keep it around the process. Electricity wise, this is 2.4 megawatts of power.
Yeah.
As opposed to put that into housing terms, 4,000 or 5,000 houses, we will actually use an awful lot of that power here on the business park.
So we will export any surplus to the grid, but a big lot we will actually use ourselves.
So I think that's quite a unique story that we from EMS can tell our customers, which a lot of national house builders, that the skips we're providing them and taking away their rubbish is then being processed, and the residual waste is then being used to produce heat to go and power those new homes that they built. So what a circular story and a success story to really pass on to our customers.
It's amazing to think you can say to them, here we are achieving it, and achieving it generally, and turning it into energy.
Yeah.
A product that would be waste. We're actually re-harvesting the energy from that product. So the one waste product we end up coming out of here is our inerts, our fines, which are really your sand and glass, which doesn't burn. And that's coming up this conveyor here and going to the bin behind me. But actually the great thing about it is we can recycle this back to aggregates. So we can use this back into a hardcore. So although it's waste on this plant, it becomes another product further down the line.
So Dad, you've been involved in waste to energy now for a long, long time. Could you just explain maybe a bit about where you see it going in the future?
Yeah, well, I think waste to energy has still got further to go in the UK. I think smaller scale plants operating on the sites where the fuel is being produced actually is the future. As long as there is humans, we are going to generate waste. We need to be able to process that fuel. And if we can keep a closed circle loop and do it in Devon, without travelling, that's got to be a good thing.
So Tom, we're at your side of the business that you run, your baby, the soil and stone recycling area.
Yep.
The first bit of the site and the process, I should say, and it's the material that you're feeding in and the loading that's happening.
So to start with, we're accepting our lorry loads here. That gets accepted by the man in the digger. He's then picking out any foreign objects, big bits of concrete as you can see behind me, any rubbish as well, and then that goes into the wash plant. So the wash plant, quite simply put, all it's doing is separating materials into different sizes, and it's doing that by using water. So it's cleaning the materials, sizing them, and then we're reselling them back into the local market. And then after, what we're dealing with is a dirty water which has got silt in it. We use a filter press to take the silt back out of the water so we can reuse the clean water again. So it's a proper circular system.
Why is that so important to be processed? Why can't we bury it in the ground?
Well, essentially you can bury it in the ground, but it makes the most amount of sense to put it through a washing system so we can reuse the aggregates in it. There's such a high quantity of aggregate in the inert that's coming into site. So we're talking about recycling maybe 70, 80, 90% of the feed materials. So it just makes sense that we put it through the plant and get sold back into the local area. So the utility companies who are coming and tipping with us, we're also reloading material that they've tipped essentially, so they can reuse that back into in the roadways in the utilities industry.
So you've increased your recycling capacity by 80% by installing this machine.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting another 4 products out of what used to go to landfill, which is amazing.
Yeah. So Tom, we're at the first couple of products that you're producing from the wash plant. Obviously 2 sand products. You look at this and it's such a beautifully clean wash product. What's the advantage for companies using this over the alternative, which is quarried material?
Well, quite bluntly, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Obviously, within the local area, it's a lot cheaper with the haulage as well. It's right here. So like I was saying, you've got utility companies coming in and tipping, and then the materials on exactly the same site as where they were tipped. They're already here. So,
and are you seeing a push from construction companies now wanting a recycled alternative opposed to a virgin quarry product? Because it's obviously a far better environmental benefit using a product that is already a waste and putting it back into the construction side.
No, absolutely. No, from the road miles, like I was saying, to it's a recycled product that's already been used. They're really starting to push for it now. We're seeing it getting more and more popular as the time goes on.
And the alternative, like when you look at the fine sand over here, what would farmers be using for other than this? Would it be sea sand?
It's sea sand. It's coming from either Padstow or off the south coast.
Yeah.
Which is obviously from Exeter area. It's a long, long way.
Yeah.
We're very, very local. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and you look at this and you think the quality's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like a dark beach sand.
Yeah, exactly right.
You wouldn't know the difference.
No, exactly right. But anything you would use a sand for, it's basically the same.
Brilliant. Tom, from EMS, we produce also just stone.
Yeah.
That's got no soil in it. It doesn't need to go through your wash plant. You can see some stone that's been tipped behind you here.
Very simply crushing it down. So we're crushing it to a 75 mil to dust size. And what that's used for the most part is building up levels. So it's a fantastic material to put down as that final level before you put down concrete.
So this is this crushed product here. This is what it looks like afterwards.
That's the crushed product there, exactly right. Exactly right, yeah. As we've sort of shown with the wash plant, it's really critical to obviously provide a product that people want to buy. What customers are asking for now is that it's exceptionally clean. Yeah. So it was really important to us to get the right bit of machinery to crush a material, but also clean it up at the same time.
So another fantastic alternative, a cheaper alternative, a more environmentally alternative to a quarried virgin product.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Your only waste product then, Tom, that you're producing from this plant, it looks like clay. Can you explain exactly what it is?
This is the clay. This is the silt that is in the water after we've washed the aggregates. Taking that silt away from the water so we can reuse the water.
I can see you've got a closed drainage system. How much water are you using?
Not very much, not very much. We're probably around 5,000 litres a day. It's not very much at all. Considering how much is flowing around the system, it's actually very minimal. We've laid the concrete here so it falls down into a tank, and then we can pump that water from what's coming off the products back in.
So all of that water that's falling and coming off the product, you're effectively using it.
Exactly right.
And 5,000 litres on a process like this every day is nothing really in the scheme of things.
It's something we spent a hell of a lot of time on when we first put the plant in, is how can we reduce our water consumption? Go on, it just stops the mess as well.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
We sort of developed an approach on Hill Barton of having various different businesses within the same location that all feed and support off each other and do business together. EMS, for example, provides an element of different waste streams, one being wood. So our wood waste goes literally 100 yards next door to a company called Brook Energy, which turn the wood into a chip biomass, which goes into their biomass plant, which is next door to the wood yard, which produces electricity and heat. The electricity is then bought back by EMS to run our recycling equipment, our shredders and our plant, and also our fully electric skip lorry. And the heat is then used to make AdBlue, which we use some of that AdBlue to put into our HGV lorries to reduce emissions. So I think our sustainability and what sets us apart is looking at A, the different technologies, B, building the facilities that can take the waste where the waste is segregated, and also using the energy that we generate from the waste to power back the processing equipment that we use to sort it. Being a family business, we want to keep it a family at heart, so we try to have a really close relationship with all of the staff here at EMS. We've got some fantastic employees that have been with us for decades.
People make all atmosphere. Then it's better for everyone. When everything is going well, it's good and easier for everyone, for me too.
The policy of EMS has been nurturing talent when it gets to us and actually promoting that and bringing them up through the business.
So through them I got my apprenticeship, which put me through to do my class 1 as well. Yeah, now I'm on the Ro-Ros, quite enjoy that. A bit of skip work here and there, but yeah, I've done nothing else though. This is my experience as EMS, but I honestly love it.
For me, I would say is the personal approach that this team give to all of our customers.
Well, I don't think I could do it without EMS, to be honest. EMS, you know, I've dealt with Jack in EMS for the last 11 years. It's pretty much the only place that I would take my waste.
They know what they're talking about. If we come into any problems, we can ring them up and say, we've got this on board. Could you help us? They, 99% of the time, yes, we could help.
We're surrounded by local family businesses. We've dealt with other family businesses for the last 80 years of running companies, and people like to deal local. I think it's important because when there's problems or situations that need to be sorted out or deals to be done, people like dealing with local family companies.
As soon as our customers call into our depots, they speak to a person straight away. All of the offices are in their local regions, so they're dealing with local people. So it's really important to note we haven't strayed away from our family roots, and our team are still extremely personable with our customers.
I think the future of EMS is relating to the future of waste. Whether we like it or not, we have to accept we are always going to produce an element of waste. But what it is down to us as a company to do is finding ways and techniques to recycle reuse, or turn into energy as much of that waste as possible to limit the impact that it has on the environment. And I think that's something we as a family have invested so hard into, to try and take that ethos forward of minimizing waste as much as possible, but recognizing that it's always going to be there. And it's selling that message to customers of, when you think of waste, we want you to think of EMS. We are your partners in trying to reduce and recycle as much of your waste as possible.